Hey, this is Robert Monroe, and I thought I would start a new series of talking videos today. This is going to be called Debunking the Difficulty, which I have to do a shout out to Ryu. I'm pretty sure his channel is called. He does a series on Nintendo games and Super Nintendo games and how they are actually approachable and easy, these really impossible games. Not necessarily easy, like super easy, but like that you actually can beat them even if you're not some insanely talented gamer. I wanted to do the same concept, but about instruments and about learning music. And so I wanted to take a look at certain instruments that I'm familiar with. As the series continues, we might get into instruments I'm less familiar with. I might even bring in guests. I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself. But if you like this idea, go ahead, throw a like, throw a comment, throw a sub. Yes, I'm telling you to do that before I even get into the good stuff because I know it's going to be great. So let's get into it. This first episode is going to be about singing. Now, you might be looking at my channel and go, wait a second, your channel's all about piano. Why don't you start with piano? Well, I've been thinking about singing a lot recently, and I think it is an instrument that a lot of people give up on very early on in their life. And I think there's quite a few reasons for that. But I want to start with what I think the difficulty spike is with singing in particular. Now, what do I mean by a difficulty spike? Well, if you're playing a video game, it's like the Turtles underwater level in the original Turtles game, where out of nowhere, the game gets far more challenging. You die a few times and then you go, no, this is no more fun. I am not interested in this anymore. I would say the biggest difficulty spike with singing is trying to stay on pitch. So at the beginning, people are pretty okay with you just doing whatever and trying to sound like something else. You know, you're a kid, you're just going along, you're trying to mimic the character of something else. No worries. But then you hit this difficulty spike. And the difficulty spike is when people start going, ugh, you're out of tune, you know. And then you have to start realizing, okay, how do I sing in tune? This is challenging. This is really difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It really is. Why is this difficult? It's because unlike a piano or a guitar where to be in tune, all I have to do is pick the right fret or note on the piano, and then maybe on guitar I have to tune it up a little bit with the tuning pegs. When I'm singing, the voice is inside of me. There's nothing I can do to tune myself, or is there? I would argue that the best tactic to solve this particular difficulty spike is actually to utilize a piano or a guitar or any instrument you are familiar with enough to play certain notes. And now you go, okay, but what if I'm not familiar with another instrument? Well, in the case of piano, I think it would actually serve you, if you want to get good at voice, to take a second, take a break from voice, learn just a couple notes on piano, like literally just learn the names of the white keys, and then learn how to play yourself some basic warm-ups like ya da 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 da, stuff like that, just descending down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go from there. That's the first difficulty spike. Once you conquer that, in a lot of ways, I think you are set. You are golden. I think you can crush the rest of voice. But let's talk about two other things that very commonly trip people up. I think the next thing that really gets people in trouble is the fact that your voice sounds different to other people than it sounds to yourself. Now, what are we talking about? Well, when things resonate, they have a certain sound to them. When I'm hearing my voice, I am actually hearing it through my ears, resonating through my cheekbones. which means I'm getting a very different character sound. You can almost think about it as the way that something sounds with the windows rolled up in a car versus when they roll down their windows, you hear that thump, 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 thump. And then finally they roll down the windows, you hear the whole song. Now, it's not like that level of clarity difference, but the tone and timbre of my voice to myself is very different than what you're hearing through the camera right now. Also, it sounds different depending on what mic you're using. So what I would recommend is very quickly find yourself a way to record your voice. And depending on your level of professionalism and what you're going for, maybe find a more professional solution. So yes, your phone works, and I would start there. Just pick up your phone, sing into your phone, listen to it, sing into your phone, listen to it. As you listen, two things will happen. One is you'll notice things that you are not nailing quite right away, like pitch levels, that sort of thing, tone. But you're also going to notice how your voice sounds to someone else. And over time, you will get so used to that sound, it will no longer bother you, and you'll be able to address certain characteristics of that sound, even though it is not present in your own head. You'll get way more used to it. So that's the second thing that I think you should really address and focus on in terms of difficulty spikes along the way. The third one is a bit more challenging, and that is voice, unlike every other instrument that we will talk about and address, is born with you. And because of that, some of us are born with a $3,000 beautiful, gorgeous Stratocaster or pick guitar that you envy in here. And then others of us are born with the $50 guitar that you get from the thrift store. And you might be going right now, wait a second, are you telling me I just shouldn't sing if I was born with the $50 guitar? No, as we will get into when we're talking about other instruments, and I've even made videos about this in the past. The instrument that you use does not define you. You can make beautiful music on anything, but it also presents specific challenges. So let's talk about it if you were born with the $50 starter guitar. And what do I mean by that with voice? Well, I mean, maybe it's hard for you to find where the pitches are. Maybe your voice has a very tiny range. We can't sing very high notes. We can't sing very low notes. Maybe it has a very unique character to its tone that is irritating to most human beings. Well, all of these sound like pretty big hurdles to overcome, and in some ways they are. But think through human history about people that became very famous with what they sang and expressed to many, many thousands of people. People like Bob Dylan. I don't think anyone would argue that Bob Dylan's voice is pleasant. But what did he do? He decided he was going to sing. He had things he wanted to say, and he said them. And actually, if you listen, he really can actually bring that voice to the pitch levels that he wants. Or sometimes I think he just goes, screw it, I don't care, I'm Bob Dylan, I just want to sing this folk song, let my voice express where it wants to express. So much of singing is a personal choice. You're deciding that you want to do something, whether or not reality actually agrees with you. This is very important in all music. It is important to make a decision before the reality is there. I know this sounds crazy, and this is why I think music is the closest thing we have to magic in the real world. And what do I mean by that? It's because if I say I am a singer and I am good at singing, even if it isn't true, it will become true. And you might go, this sounds like crazy, weird, new agey stuff. If I decide that I'm 6 foot tall and I'm 5 feet tall, there's no way I'll ever wake up the next day and become 6 feet tall. That is true. But because music is art and art has a level of subjectivity and relativity to it, the confidence you get from making that choice will actually increase your ability to make beautiful art that resonates with other people, and therefore it will become true. It's pretty magical. I love it. That's why I love music. Let's talk on the other side of the spectrum. Let's say you wake up, you start singing, every note falls out of your mouth. It's perfect. It sounds angelic. Well, it's all upside, right? Yeah, in some ways it is, but the pressure and the intensity and the difficulty of cultivating and maturing and growing when you have this beautiful voice just thrust upon you can actually be more detrimental than someone who has to strive and work and suffer through every little weird nook and cranny of their vocal cords. So I hope this has helped you out and maybe encouraged you to really stick with it. And that's going to be the takeaway of every single one of these videos. It's not to say that learning an instrument and learning to sing is easy. That's not the point. The point is that it's approachable, that it is something that you can do. So I hope that this gave you that level of comfort that it's possible. And until next time, I'm Robert Monroe. Please share this video with somebody that you know maybe thinks that they can't sing or that singing is not possible for them. And until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye.